There we go. We're live.
Hey,
Awesome.
we are live.
So we're live. Man, that was a hot mess. We slid under the mark with 1 minute. All right, everybody. We're live with Marky Worthington, comedian from Australia. Has been on the Mad Viking tip for a while. How many years have you, Marky, been using our products?
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to see a little bit behind the scenes and see how organized you guys are and have everything together. It's so good to see such a well-beard oiled machine. But I've placed my first order with Mad Viking in 2015, I think, around then. And it was right around the time that international promotion and like marketing was starting to ramp up with beard products. So that's how I got onto you guys. I love the brand, like the style. So got onto it. Been using it ever since.
Yeah, I remember just having quite many conversations over the years. Mostly dealing with like your product code and getting stuff sent down to Australia, because if I'm not mistaken, like Australia is like another like dimension or something like that.
Yeah, we sit right in the astral realms. So unfortunately, that means that you need to pay for intergalactic shipping, and that's reflected in the cost a lot of the time. So it's good when you can get onto a product code or something. And with so many out there now, there's a lot of options for people to choose from when it comes to getting stuff from overseas from you guys.
Yeah, so it's next week there.
It's Tuesday, right?
Tuesday.
It's always Tuesday here. We don't have any other days of the week. Unfortunately, we haven't unlocked them as playable days. What we need to do is eventually we'll get like a Monday afternoon and just ease into it after that.
Okay.
No, but right now it's Friday morning at 8 a.m. And we had a public holiday here yesterday for what we call Anzac Day, where we honour our Anzacs and all of our service members. So we do a dawn service usually in the town I'm in Canberra, the capital of Australia. And because it fell on a Thursday, I decided, may as well make a long weekend out of it and take the Friday off. So that's how you got me bright and early.
That's amazing. We just time traveled with you.
It was a journey.
Yeah. For the audience, we had a short 5-minute conversation before he jumped on. We were all nervous. We didn't think he would show, We don't know how much we could trust the Aussies yet.
Right.
Yeah. So because we haven't really worked with them yet. So
you have 2-legged dogs that fight on their tails. So we don't know what's going on over there.
Right. We were nervous about that part too. We didn't know if you'd have a baby Joey like holding them and nursing them with the. We don't fucking know, man.
Eating your Vegemite and whatever else.
Yeah.
Oh, you just said fuck, so that means I can swear, and this just got a lot better.
Oh yeah, just let it rip.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not about to get us get the channel taken down, but it just means that I can actually not edit as I talk. But yeah, the Joeys go in the pouches, and you see what's bad. They fight on their rear legs and use their tail as like a counterweight. It's like they lean back on their tail because like a kangaroo tail is super thick. I just seen that weird side look that you gave the rest of the people. Yeah, I feel like I'm explaining a dream that I had and pretending it was real. And but they can full go to blows, and sometimes they'll go to blows means have a fight. Just also translating for you guys. But there'll be
just let us build it up in our imaginations. That's fine.
Okay, all right. Well, I just don't want to misrepresent the kangaroo people, but the Joeys will just sit there in the pouch, and I tell you what, sometimes they'll go to blows just with that Joey sitting there in the pouch, just like a crackhead, just sitting there, baby in a little parcel in front of it, just punching on with somebody.
Have you ever seen? I guess there's a bunch of them out there, but there is this one video where this full grown Roo just comes jumping across and fucking with this guy's dog. Guy runs over and just cold cocks this kangaroo, and the kangaroo just like stops, and he's like, "Fuck, man!" And then he's like, shakes his head, and he just trots away. Like,
Yeah, that was
is that
viral.
common?
That was Uncle Jono. He's Uncle Jono, man. Shout out Uncle Jono. He's doing. We're actually that kangaroo's fighting Jake Paul next week, so we'll see how it goes.
He's got the winner of the Tyson fight, right?
Yeah, that's right. So we may as well. Just it'll be a fun one. I got $100 on the kangaroo. We'll see how we go. Oh, bucks is dollars. I can't help but translate here.
So how long have you been doing comedy, man?
This is my 7th year.
Wow. I know a couple guys personally that would love to get into it, but it's kind of beating that stage fright thing. Like how did you fucking tackle that when you first set out?
Oh no. I started bombing the conversation, so you went to the fucking pre-written questions. Oh dude, I'm fucking this up bad.
We have 0 wrote down.
Yeah.
Oh
like,
shit.
We're sitting here. We don't even have
you just asked. You just asked that like a fucking legit written question, man. Hats off to you. Really?
Well, I kind of give a fuck, actually. So.
Oh shit.
No, I'm interested to learn like what you got going on and everything like that.
Yeah,
I know
cool.
A lot of other people, because in the Mad Viking world, never. There's a few guys that might know you, but you're like not well known in that world, right? So we want to get you there. Maybe get some more like fans for sure. Because like I was checking out was that your first special, the dog game?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So
dude. Oh, well, you can
beat
tell
that
them
wall down, and you were like, "Fuck it, man, I'm doing this."
Nice, man. Yeah. Well, I can tell that you are a lot better at promotion than me. You're dragging me through this, kicking and screaming. You give a shout out to my special and everything, man. I love this. I'm obviously shit because I just talk over the top of you while you're trying to do it. It's a really good synergy that we've got going here. But yeah, no. So what took me into it was when I first started, I didn't go and watch. I didn't check out comedy open mics. I had seen a lot of comedy, obviously, on Netflix and whatever other burnt DVDs from Pirate Bay and all that sort of like legal stuff. But I would often watch all that and think like I would love to give that a try. I've always kind of been that dude in the group that would make everybody laugh. So they were like, "Oh, you should." My buddies were like, "You should try it out." So what I did, instead of just going and watching comedy and like getting a feel for it, I just signed up and turned up. So there was like no turning back. Like I was already on the sheet. I had a spot. I was ready to go. And I went up, looked at the sign up sheet. There was this dude there, one of my mentors in the scene now. He gave me my first spot in a comedy festival. His name's Bill Macon. And he signed me up, went up on stage. I ate a bag of dicks for the first couple minutes.
That was my next question.
Yeah. I probably 2 bags, 3 bags full, whatever. But whatever the nursery
rhyme is. Over your shoulder, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I went there with an empty bag and say, "Has anyone got any dicks?" But then I had this like story, this like obscure story that I just like memorized for if it went to shit, like the ace card up the sleeve. So once it started turning, I could feel the crowd like going like, "Oh, this guy, I didn't pay any money to be here, and this guy's definitely managing my expectations for this free entry open mic and his level of talent." And then I just pulled this random story out. And it's just a whole story I created off the saying, "Never look a gift horse in the mouth or teeth," or whatever the fuck. Dude, it's been 7 years. I forgot that story. I mentally blanked it out. I had the Men in Black flashy thing. As soon as I got off stage, I was like, "All right, let's delete that memory."
Yeah, I
But
didn't
yeah,
know. Like, you kind of like described that as like you being the machine of Australia, right?
yeah, only fatter, like a little bit fatter, to be
Right on.
honest with you. No, I'm oh, you mean the machine or the machine?
The machine, like throwing
Oh,
out the Bert Kreischer reference, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you were like, so that's how like what he built his comedy career off of, like at first, right? Like everybody heard that story and they were like, fucking comedy gold, right?
Sure.
And then yeah, I mean, I guess it helped that he was on Rogan and everything like that, but I mean, that's how he grew up. And like as you were telling that story, I'm like, man, there could be so many like so much comedy gold in that don't look a gift horse in the mouth and
Yeah.
then joke, 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 right? You could build something off of that. And that's what I was asking is that your
Yeah.
machine moment or was that just your fucking I forgot about it bag of dicks moment?
Look, I was enjoying the bag of dicks, but then I was just like, nah, actually, tell
Right.
you what, I'll mix it up a little bit and I'll try and do a little bit better. And yeah, I did it. And I've never done that story again. I actually had an idea for my 10-year comedy anniversary is when I'm going to record one of my I've got one between now and then. So I got one next year that I'll record another one. And then I'd like to do another one at on the 10-year mark. So I got like two more before then. But I have this concept of like opening for myself on my 10-year one. So I'll sort of come out, do my first ever set, and then MC comes up, introduces me, and I come back, but like in a quick change, wardrobe change, and then just
Right.
like headline my own gig. Oh yeah. Turns out all those dicks were mine. I have the narcissistic genes of opening for myself. How wild is that?
No, it actually sounds like kind of a cool concept, man. I've never seen it before, so
Well, I stole it from a band you may have heard from Australia, which is relevant to this channel and conversation, called the Beards.
oh yeah, the beads. Yeah, yeah. We were supposed to see them in the Netherlands one time and it kind of all fell apart. They didn't end up doing the show and we were just kind of sitting there like, yes, yes, where are they at? But yeah, something happened there, but always wanted to see that band. I don't think they play anymore, do they?
Nah, I seen their last ever tour, and so I used to be in a we had like a beard club here in Canberra, and I was the sexy secretary. Oh yeah, take
Yeah,
those
yeah.
notes, baby. And um, yeah, I used to do that. We sort of had a few events like beard competitions and that sort of thing. It still exists as an entity, but it's just not a thing that like is active at the moment.
Mhm.
It's something I stepped away from to kick off comedy. So it was around, I think they started around 2011 or 12 and then went through till 2014. I was with them till about 2014, 15. And then I think when I was with them, I actually was like, you should check out these guys, Mad Viking, and like was the first order that I got from you guys. And yeah, and they still exist. They are actually recognized in the W BMA.
WVMA. Yep.
Yeah, the first Australian club in the WBMA. And then there's another one called in Ballarat as well.
Okay. Yep.
That's like the one of the southern states.
I'm familiar with the one that you're a part of.
Yeah.
I've seen some stuff from them, like on Facebook and everything. I think I've even talked to a few guys besides you from that club before, back in the day.
Yeah.
So do you, when you're preparing, I mean, it's different from just being a funny mofo around your friends to making that translate to a bunch of people, you know? So is it like your writing process? Are you just like the guy that just has a bunch of funny shit happen to you and you just retell those stories and it translates, or you know what I mean? How hard is it to come up with, because I've always wondered that, how hard is it to actually come up with material that you're going to catch people off guard to make them laugh? Like, what's that process like? That's got to be difficult, right?
Yeah, so I do have some stories that I use. Like there is a few story. Like if I'm doing a longer set and I've got time to tell a story, I'll put that in there as well. I do have quite a few, and sometimes I don't even write them as jokes. Like I'll just be telling them at the pub or something, and someone will be like, "That's a funny story," and as I'm telling it, I can see it become a stage story. So I do include those in my set. But I also have a lot of like social observations and jokes and like even just little one-liners that I think of that I pad the rest of the set out with. So yeah, it's a bit of everything. I just literally live life, and whenever something live life love, and then whenever something funny happens, I'll write it down or like a premise that I think of, and that's when I go to open mics and try it out.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Yeah, that makes sense.
They kind of say like comedians, I've heard this before, fuck, maybe on a Rogan show, like comedians really start getting into their stride after like the 10-year mark, right? So you're like at 7.
Yeah.
So how is that something that rings true with you, that you just keep progressing, getting better, and now it's like second nature and you can just go out and, you know, throw out like laugh grenades all the time? Or like how do you look at that?
Yeah, so I thought I was actually listening back. So what I do now is I let me take you on a journey to answer that question.
Yeah.
So I listen to some of my old podcasts, and once I hit 100 episodes of my podcast, I've been doing my podcast now. Well, my first episode was in 2019, and once I hit 100 episodes, I went back, and now it's because it's been 5 years since I started it. I'm re-releasing the older ones every second episode, so it's sort of like a callback episode. And I was listening to one from after I just was 2 years into comedy, and I thought to myself, oh, I know everything about comedy. I thought I was just like a pro after 2 years, as far as like in the open mic scene, because newbies are coming along, and I've kind of shaken the initial like troubles you have within the first few years. And then I hit the 5-year mark, and I was just like, wow, I didn't know what I was talking about at 2 years. And now I'm hitting the 7-year mark. I was just like, compared to my 5-year, I'm like, this just keeps getting better. I describe my comedy career as like an aged whiskey, but I just taste it every year and realize I shouldn't have fucking tasted it until the 10-year mark.
I can relate to that.
Or 20-year or whatever, So I feel like as much as I think I have it together, I always look back at it and go like, man, I knew nothing then. And I can only imagine at the 10-year that would seem like the last 10 years have just been practice. A lot of people say it's a 10-year apprenticeship, and
Right.
7 years in, I don't think that they're wrong when they say that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I always kind of wondered. Never had that experience myself. Anytime we've ever been on stage has been like a one-off event, doing a big beard competition or something like that, and it's fun and it's great and it gets you all pumped up. But you don't really. I don't feel like you really build on that or anything like that. Like a comedian is like the next like thousands like level up. It's like unattainable for somebody unless they put in that time, like what they say, like a 10,000 hours or something like that, to get good at a skill. And I think comedy is like a huge skill. Like you just have to be out there and do it. And like, hats off to you for putting in that time. Like that's a journey, man.
Yeah, it's been a fun one. And I also think it's good to some people will hold off on putting out specials. They'll go like, oh, I'm not happy with this material, or I want to hold on to this for like until I've got more jokes that are similar. They want to build like a themed special or whatever. And I recorded Dog Game at my 5-year, which is why I'd like to put another one out next year, which is like an 8-year. I think it's good to have, instead of hoarding jokes, I think it's good to just lay them to bed, put out the special, and have that and burn that material and be like, all right, now I've refreshed. It's kind of like a bloodletting of fucking jokes. Like you let out the old jokes. You're like, I'm happy with how they are. I'm happy with how it all fits together. And then you just put that out in a package and then start building your new stuff. And it forces you to write new stuff instead of holding on to the old.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Have you ever panicked in mid testing out new material and go back and pull something old out of your bag for the audience just because you know it works?
Oh, I'm sure you can tell by how early I was for this that I'm a strict professional. All right, so I don't fuck with going back and just getting a good, reliable joke when I'm eating a fourth helping of bag of dicks for the night.
Right, you're just there to fucking test in, right?
I would no, I definitely have done that, but I'll tell you what, there's two things that'll make me pull up an old joke, and that's if I use a similar punchline to close out a joke that I'm working on. So say that I've got a joke that I'm like not quite set in and I don't quite get the crowd in on it. I can always just like use a similar premise to one that I know works, and I'll just tack it onto it just to like so that the crowd doesn't see too far behind the curtain and realize that I'm just I'm not the Wizard of Oz. The other time is if I'm doing like a bit of crowd work and something happens where I'm like, oh, that reminds me of a bit that I can tie into this and make it all look relevant.
Mm-hmm.
But my number one thing is I just don't consciously do that. I want people to see me live and then they'll go, oh, that dude was pretty good. I'll check out his YouTube like you did,
Mm-hmm.
and then see a special that had jokes in it that they didn't just see live. Like some comedians do recycle material, but I honestly am about building a level of trust and relationship with the audience where they can like watch all my content and feel like I'm not just like cheaping them by doing the same recycled stuff over and over.
Right. Now, have you what's your experience with hecklers, man? How do you deal with that?
All right, fellas, let me tell you a story. So I have two heckler stories. One of them happened actually on Wednesday night, so 2 nights ago for me.
Oh shit, it's fresh.
This one was good. So, we call tradespeople tradies, right? Like contractors.
Yep.
And in the Australian scene, especially in the open mic scene, there's a lot of venues that run open mics just at pubs or whatever, you know, like it's just like in the corner of a pub or in the restaurant area after dinner's done. They say, here's a mic, kid, go and get up and tell your jokes. And you sometimes need to deal with people midway through eating a steak or whatever. You're trying to make them laugh. Like it's brutal. Some of the open mic scene is brutal when you first start out. And tradies play a big part in this because a lot of them, are in loveless marriages. So instead of going home to their wife and kids, they go to the pub after work and just drink as many, we call them schooners, whatever. And then leave their vehicle at the pub and get a safe ride home.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason they play a big part is because midway through your set, you'll get some random tradie come in and think that he's the life of the party and start like yelling out random stuff. So I'm midway
been there before.
Yeah. Or anywhere. Like if you go out to dinner or something and you just hear some random like dude just come in, still wearing his uniform, he's still got paint and stuff all over his high vis, and they're just coming and getting rowdy. You know, it's a big part of the scene, and it's something that I find that it's a big part of dealing with it. So I'm doing my set. I closed up at the end of the open mic. There wasn't a lot of comedians there. It's starting to turn winter here, so it's getting a little colder, and it really separates the committed people from the people that just decide that they want to be instantly famous and realize it's not that easy. So I'm midway. I'm at the end of my set. I'm about to close up, and I'm recently married. I got married just over a month ago, and I was closing up on this bit about some bad relationships that I've been in the past, and I kind of run through a couple of scenarios that make my current relationship just seem like the reason that I'm like here today, and the reason that I'm happy, and the reason I finally found someone that gets me, right? And I'm talking about this like super deep and meaningful part of my life, and I go, through every bad relationship that I had, I didn't realize there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but now I realize it existed the whole time, and I'm getting into it, and then this drunk tradie just walks in and goes, "Did you get a stiffy?" And I'm like, I pause and I look over and I'm like, "A stiffy?" And he was just like, "Yeah, did you get a stiffy?" And he's not, the showroom's in front of me, but it's like an L-shaped room. So he's come in through the entrance. He's to the left. So the audience can't see him, but they can hear him. So I just start describing him to the audience, because they're like you guys. They were on board for the story. They wanted to hear what I had to say about my relationship. But now I've got to address this. So I'm like, listen, if I wanted advice from someone that's wearing a yellow high-vis with paint and cigarette ash all over it, that's been drinking since lunchtime, I'll come and let you know. and then they all laughed, and he goes, "But did you get a stiffy?" So I've gone to go on with my rest of my material, and I'm like, all right, I suppose we're dealing with this now. I turn to him, and I'm like, do you realize that getting a stiffy means something different to everyone else here? And he goes, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, for you, it means fucking a dead chick."
Harsh.
Ouch.
And he laughed, but like nervously, and everyone else laughed. And then on the spot, I like go through the archives or something else to say, and I'm like, that's why no one from your work wants to crack a cold one with you. And then they all shut him down then, and then he just sort of backed off. But then I was able to just go like, all right, you're relaxed now. I can get into the rest of my story, finish my set, did the punchline to the story. Yep. And then he comes up to me at the end and he goes, "Oh, I'm glad that I could like make people laugh. How good was that?" And I was just like, "Nah, man, you like wrecked that." And I'm like, I was just like, "Dude, that was bad. Like you didn't like help me." He had this weird delusion that he was like, "Oh, thanks to me, I saved your little comedy show,"
He's probably just stoked he got some attention, and a few people laughed just because of the jarring like shock of it, and they might have thought it went along with the story, but it really didn't, type of deal or something like that, right?
He was so drunk, he was slurring. I couldn't even understand him. He was good. That drunk guy that comes up and shakes your hand 4 times and says one word you can't understand, and you're just like, "Yeah, all right, buddy." You just
never seen that before, have you? Yeah.
No, I've never been that guy either, ever.
No.
Never been him.
Yeah, the worst one is you can just tell that while you're like, he didn't wash his hand when he used urinal for sure. Like you're just shaking his hand, just looking him dead in the eye, and you just feel your soul just evaporate. But yeah, the second story is not actually about heckling. It's about that restaurant dining experience. When I first started, we had this room here that was at like a place that just did like wings. It was like a sports bar essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And could you imagine going into like a sports bar and when like our version of the Super Bowl's on, right? So we call it State of Origin, and it happens to fall on the same night as comedy. So imagine you go into a sports bar while the Super Bowl's on, And then they're like, all right, we're going to do open mic comedy just over in the corner here. So if anyone wants to like watch these comedians, just shuffle over into the corner of the room. And the MC goes, there's not going to be anybody listening to comedy. So what I'll get you guys to do, I've got a wireless mic. If you want to just go around to every table and just do like a personal show for everybody, just do a couple of jokes with the mic while everyone's sitting down trying to watch the game. Yeah, that definitely separated.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd have to be tough.
Yeah, so I did have one joke I managed to get people to stop for a second with, but it wasn't because I was going to all the tables. I basically found like a little area that wasn't blocking a TV and just had like one group of people that were actually like semi-interested. And it was the first time I managed to get a laugh that I had to stop before I did my next joke. Like I was like, oh, you guys are still laughing. Well, I'll wait until I do the next joke. Like I had that mental moment where I just went like, oh, I actually need to wait until I do the next bit. So that was like a year into comedy. It was a good moment for me.
Yeah, it's got to be like extreme crowd work, right?
Yeah, it's wild. That room doesn't run anymore. The guy that the bartender like crashed his motorbike DUI on the way home, so they shut that place down. Hey, I tell you what though, sports bike, all he lost, top off his index finger. Not too bad considering the wreck. So,
damn.
Do you boys ride?
Yeah, we do.
I seen Black Betty. I seen the post.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jay's bike. Just got
Black
it.
Betty.
Just picked it up a couple weeks ago.
I think I got to change the name though. I've riding her a little bit. Her attitude's changed a little bit, so I'm gonna have to give her a new name.
Nice.
I don't know what.
The vanilla slut.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. Black Vaseline or something. Just slide it in. I don't know where we're going with that, but something. I got to change it.
We're actually looking into installing flashlights on our bikes, just to keep it all,
to keep it legit.
Yep.
Yeah, because if you want any cubic inches, you're gonna have to stroke it.
Right. Yep.
So we got Nick Mott in the chat. He's one of our near and dear friends that has done some open mic and wants to do some stand-up stuff. If there's any advice that you can give to him starting out, like what the fuck would that be, man?
Well, howdy, Nick. I would say if you were going to get into it, just start writing down everything that you can that you think is going to be funny that might work on stage. Just write it down. You might not use it, but just the process of writing puts you in the mindset of looking at everything in a different light, what might become a joke. So I'd say just start writing down, even in your phone if you just do notes or whatever. And once you've got your first solid amount of jokes that you think are good, 5 minutes, whatever, just get on stage as much as you can and try them out. And if something doesn't work straight away, reword it and try it again at a different venue, different crowd, whatever, and keep going, because sometimes it's not always the joke that isn't landing. It might just be the night. So give it a few tries before you give up on particular jokes, and just keep getting up and doing it.
So how important, like in your delivery, is timing and pacing? Like, is that something you pay attention to, or does it just kind of come to you naturally?
I'm too quick. I need to slow down a lot of the time. When I'm doing, it's taken me years to learn that when I'm telling a story or a long form joke or whatever, it's important to build like suspense. If I'm trying to like paint a picture, sometimes it'll take a minute if I explain something for people to like visualize it. So if I'm already feeding more information to them, it's harder for them to like picture the scenario. I used to have a joke that was about about when I went on a school excursion when I was a kid, and my buddy Porky puked on himself, and when I because he ate like they had the charity day at Macca's, so he ate like 12 cheeseburgers and then inhaled the helium balloon, so his voice was weird, but then he like puked on himself. Yeah, it's a wild story, but that's how I used to tell it. I would just give the rundown of the scenario, and it would kind of get a laugh because it's obscure, but it's become a closing bit for me to talk about now, because I sort of paint the picture of we're all on the bus, Porky's up the back, he's not feeling too well. We're trying to like hide the fact that he hailed the helium balloon from the teachers. They're trying to wonder why there's a bunch of kids up the back of the bus. Are we like doing anything illegal? What's going on? And I'm sort of like painting like the bus that you see in Friday the 13th, where they think that the buses missed the stop, but Freddy Krueger's driving. Like it's like one of those like old school buses with the little windows at the top. You can only open them a little bit.
Right.
So I'm sort of painting more of a picture, and I find that it's like more of a journey, and I learned that by slowing it down. But I also think that sometimes when it comes to crowd work and heckling, the quicker you are with responses, the better it is. So it's just like, and it's just timing is everything. Whether it's speeding it up or slowing it down, it makes a big difference.
Definitely. I bet Nick appreciates the shit out of that advice. I know I've had a few conversations with him in the past where he's just like, I feel as a friend that is something that he would love to do, that he would excel at. And every time I see him, I kind of like, man, you got to keep doing that. Like because I know like just on our social media channels and stuff like that, he's very, a lot of people look at him to kind of just look at that post and brighten their day and make them laugh. His club nickname is Puns, so that's kind of his line of work when it comes to like comedy and stuff like that. I'd just be a fan, I think, if he just got going, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of that as well. Like, we've got an Australian comedian that I'm actually doing a gig with next week, and his name's Chris Franklin. And he wrote a song called Bloke, and he wrote that song as like just a bit of a piss take on the standard Aussie fella. And it was a hit song, and it launched into like being a household name essentially. And I've heard a few interviews with him over the years, and he said that he started doing comedy by just being the guy at the pub that would tell stories, and people would come and just pull up a chair and just listen to some of his stories. And like you're saying, you would be a fan of him, of Nick starting. It's like he already had mates at the pub that were just so excited for him to actually take the next step. So I think that it is good to have just a good group of friends. And look, I usually advise against people bringing friends for the first time if they don't know that they're doing comedy. But if someone's been with you from the start saying like you should try comedy, you should like get into it, and then you bring those people with you, it's a different kind of crowd. Like they're like happy for you in whether it goes good or bad, So I think I do advise people don't bring their friends for the first time if it's someone that they've like doesn't know that what they're getting themselves into. But if it's someone that's been encouraging you from the start and been supporting you, definitely bring those people along. I have two really close friends that I used to run my jokes by, and actually helped me write my first 5 minutes by just bouncing ideas off them. And it was great to have them at my first time, So, yeah, I think you got to choose who you bring along to your shows.
I'm sure you'd have a couple hecklers that he knows personally.
His biggest fan and his biggest hecklers. So,
yeah, definitely.
So real quick, back to the hecklers. Have you ever had a time when you've just like when someone heckles you and you decide to unload on them? Have you ever been like, just burn their house down, and then immediately afterwards you're like, yeah, I probably went too far with that, or are you just like, fuck you, you stepping into my office, so you get what you get? How's that work?
Oh man, all right. So this brings me to two scenarios, very similar. One of them was so there's two reactions. Some people will go, "Fair enough, I heckled." Like yeah, it is what it is. It's fair game. A lot of people step into heckling knowing that it's pretty open, open after that. There is a line, but I feel like a lot of people are fairly accepting of like what they get back. It's also part of that Aussie larrikin style personality. Like they'll have a laugh most of the time if you give them shit back, and it's a bit of back and forth. Like even that drunk tradie the other night, he was just although he thought he helped the show, he was still cool with it. So there's that, but then there's the ones that will heckle just because they like just want to be part of the show and aren't ready for any repercussions, and sometimes they'll take it super bad, like personally or whatever. But also there's people that legitimately just having a bad day and want someone to blame it on, and you're just the next person.
Right.
I've had two scenarios where I was just the next person. One of them was this drunk dude comes in. I was emceeing, but he was so drunk he thought that one of the comedians was me. Like he just drunkenly thought because I was on the stage on and off throughout the whole night. He just forgot that I wasn't the one that said the joke he had a problem with. It wasn't even heckling. He just came up to me at the end and tried to like fight me. And I was just like, bro, what's your problem? And he goes, can I just get up there and say whatever I want? And I'm like, if it's funny, yeah, go for it.
Right.
And he goes, yeah, even if it's like, punching down or whatever. And I'm like, well, I mean, we tend not to do that. It's it's as long as it's funny, you can just do what you want. And he goes, he starts naming a joke that he had a problem with, and I was just like, dude, that's not even my joke. But I knew the guy that said the joke couldn't deal with this dude, so I just took the verbal abuse, and then he stepped forward. And luckily, one of my buddies is he's good at cuddling people that decide that they want to get cheeky. So he stepped between us and just pushed him back, and old mate looked at him, looked at me, looked at the 3 or 4 other comedians getting up out of their chair and walking over, and decided to get out of there. Yeah, so that's one of them. But I do actually have a scenario where I legitimately didn't know what I was getting into. So there was this guy that was heckling, and he was wearing like a white fedora. I don't know if you know anything about hecklers, but you tend not to try to wear something that makes you stick out like that. So I look over, and he's got his white fedora on, and I was just like, "Oh, just taking a night off from selling drugs, sir." And he goes, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, look at your hat. You obviously, import and export illegal substances, and you decided tonight you just want to come and watch comedy." And he goes, "Oh, this is my dad's hat." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." He goes, "My dad's dead." And I was just like, "Oh shit, did you grave rob your dad's hat, dude?" I'm like, "Was your dad Pablo Escobar?" And then he kind of just like shut down, and I was like, "All right, well, he shut up. It's all good." At the end of the night, I go up to the sound desk, like I check in with the soundies and all that sort of stuff. And he's just standing there. He comes. Well, he's not standing there. He wasn't standing there. I'm like, oh, he's gone. He just comes in full flight from the back area, and he just comes up right in my grill and starts going like, yeah. And he still had the hat on, like a fucking dickhead. And he started like getting up in my grill and stuff. And he started getting like super, like he was on the edge. He was doing that thing, the old finger point in the chest, like just like indexing the shot, like waiting to see, how whether I'd like push back or anything,
Yeah.
just kind of trying to make me throw the first shot. So I could sort of gauge that. I felt like Jake Paul because the dude was like 55, and it was solid though, and I just basically went like, look, man, I don't know what your thing is. I'm assuming that like you didn't have the best relationship with your dad, and that's why you think that it's my fault. And then he kind of just looks at me, realizes that like, oh shit, this isn't my night, and again, backed out. I think it's all said and done. The bartender comes up to me. I've just grabbed my show bag. I've got my mics. I've got everything, and I'm loading out. And I look over, and the bartender comes up to me. He's like, hey, do you want to go out the back? And I was like, why is that? And he's like, that fucking dude is still standing out the front 45 minutes later.
Oh, shit.
So I'm like, no, I just need someone to hold my glasses for me. So I handed them to someone and put my hair back in a ponytail like I was about to get in a cat fight. You know what I mean? And
give him something to grab.
Yeah. I walked up, just hit him with my bag of dicks, dude. Yeah, like Santa Claus, but just for single mums. But anyway, I walk out the front, and I had my hair tied back and my fucking glasses off, and I just squared to him square on, and he just walked off. Like he was there just to see if I was going to do anything. And as soon as I was like, I'm here now, bro, what do you want? He just walked off. And haven't seen him back at another show.
How terrible would that be? Being heckling and then getting heckled back by a comedian and shut down, and then getting your ass beat by said comedian after the show.
It was,
That'd be terrible.
Sure, there's like a good 1% chance of every comedy show that happens.
Yeah, it's something that has nearly happened a few times over my 7 years. I put a clip online. I seen one of you guys liked it. The craft beer tastes like shit video. So I put up this thing, and look, I'm not a hater on craft beer, but I was just saying that when there's people that say they like it, although they don't. And the bit is basically like some people don't want to admit that it tastes off because they're not used to the flavor. So they'll be like, oh, they'll take their first sip and they'll just kind of be like, oh, it sounds definitely like it's been brewed for the right amount of time, and it's definitely hasn't got random other flavors that I'm not used to being in beer, right? so pineapple, what a great touch to a beer. I love that. So it's just a bit on people pretending they like it when they don't. And it starts off with who thinks craft beer tastes off, and this dude goes, "I'll knock you out," and I'm like, "Excuse me," and he goes, "Nothing." And I was just like, typical craft beer drinker, little bitch, does not want to back up his bullshit. And then he just like, and he just goes, "I'll knock you out." And I was like, "Pardon?" And he goes, "Nothing." And then I was just like, see, look, can't even back it up a second time. And I'm like, I heard you the first time. I just wanted to see if you could go again. Well, after that show, I was walking out, and the MC was this big guy, right? Buddy of mine. And he was just, when you're walking through the crowd, you lead with your hand first, you kind of turn side on, and you just sort of squeeze through the gaps. Well, after the gig, everyone's sort of trying to file out, and the dude that heckled me about the craft beer was closing in on me.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see him coming closer, and I was just kind of like, oh shit, was this guy joking or whatever? And the MC, without realizing it, when he gets close enough to touch me, the MC walks straight between us and put his hand out. And the dude was that drunk, he thought that this big guy was stepping in for me, looked up at him, and just turned around and walked out. So that's the third time that someone's just walked off when push comes to shove. So I was lucky with that.
Yeah, sounds like comedy's a little too dangerous for me, man.
Yeah, you're not going to do it. I'm not going to let you. I don't want you to get hurt.
You don't want me to bomb. I would bomb.
Why am I just telling you all the bad stuff, man? I've had some highlights.
So, when you're little and you start out and you see your first comedy, like they say, no matter what you do, whatever profession or you take up, or you're a singer songwriter, or you're in a comedy, or you're, you know, they all say like we stand on the shoulders of giants. Like in the comedy world, who do you look up to? Whose shoulders do you stand on? Like what's that look like for you?
So I feel like in the local scene, that's where I stand. Like I stand on the shoulders of my mentors that live in my town, all the guys that have been doing it for a few years longer than me. They're the ones that really prop me up to get me to where I am. All the people like Bill that gave me a spot on my first open mic. One of my buddies, Kai Fay, he has been doing comedy for 15 years now, and he was right around where I am now when I first started. So to put that in perspective, I sometimes look at an up and coming open micer and think, holy crap, this is where like Kai was when I first started. And I kind of see the connection there. So I feel like all the local dudes that just help me out, give me spots, give me advice, all that sort of stuff. They're the ones that really prop me up. And I think that I owe a lot to those guys. But as far as like big names that brought me up over the years, like there's a Australian comedian called Carl Barron.
Yep.
And when I was a kid, I used to have a neighbor of mine that used to like Carl Barron. So we bought the Carl Barron box sets, but like not so we had two the same. So I'd buy one, he'd buy the next one, and then I'd buy one. And we sort of like between us, we had all of his stuff. And when I'd get one, I'd go around to his place, we'd watch it, and like we'd just like watch it every few weeks until the next one came out. Like we just know all the jokes in and out. So yeah, Carl Barron's one of mine. But there's a bunch of comedians that I've gotten onto over the years. One of my biggest influences in comedy, once I became a comedian and started to learn the ins and outs of like stage, how to use stage time and stuff, is Doug Stanhope.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's one of my biggest influences from comedy. And in February last year, he did an Australian tour. I sent an email to the contact form on his website, and I fully got a response back saying that yeah, he'd like to do the venue in Canberra and add Canberra to the tour. So he came to the venue that I run. And I got to open for him and hang out with him in the green room, and that was like a big highlight for me.
Oh yeah, that'd be killer, dude.
So yeah, I feel like a lot of those dudes, I guess it's like crowd surfing. The local guys sort of propped me up, but the bigger guys is what send me around the top of the crowd.
I know coming up for me, like the first special or any comedy I think I've ever really seen was Eddie Murphy. You know, what special was that? Was it Bad or something? I think it was called.
Is it the one where he's wearing the red suit?
Yeah, like and him and Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
But that Eddie Murphy special, like I remember being maybe like 6, 7, 8, something like that. I can't remember when it came out or how old I was, right around there.
Yeah.
But I felt like I almost fucking laughed my balls off and peed my pants at the same time as a kid. Like it was so hilarious. And my parents just looked at me like, he knows what all that means.
It was Delirious, I think was the name of it, right?
Delirious or something.
Delirious.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, my parents were shaking that I knew what he was fucking talking about. So.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. I remember seeing Delirious and Raw when I was growing up, and
yeah, that was it.
It's funny because like an adult and a kid can watch the same special and they might laugh at different parts. They might laugh at the same parts, but it's just such a dynamite thing to be able to just like appeal to so many different audiences all in one special. Like I know comedians of all different like walks of life, and everybody's got something in those specials that they thought was good, you know, or a memory from them. So yeah, that was another one but I didn't sort of get into some of I didn't branch out until later. Like, I remember when I was younger, I used to listen to some of, like, Dad used to have like vinyls with like comedy on there, like just randomly just sit like, and I used to just, because we didn't have a vinyl player, so we used to he just had it. He still had his collection, but he got rid of his player.
So you could see all the artwork, and you're just like looking at the titles and stuff, and you're like, wonder what they're fucking talking about, or
Absolutely. We used to just stare at my brother. I got a younger brother. He's 14 months younger than me, and him and I used to just stare at the covers and guess what the music or the sound sounded like. Like, we used to. He's into like the early like rock and like Sabbath and that sort of stuff. Yeah. So we used to just sit there. I remember when we were kids, we pulled out Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and we're just staring at the album cover, and there's like a dude on the bed with all these demon chicks around him and stuff, and we're just staring at it. There's 6 and 8 year old me and my brother just staring at this thing, going like, "Whoa!" I wonder
totally
what
out
this
of context. Right.
Yeah, we just wondered what it sounded like. I remember the first time when we were probably about 12. We went to a clearing sale, and there was an old like all-in-one vinyl player there. So we're like urging Dad, he needs to get this because we need to know what's on these pictures we've been looking at.
Like, what's going on here?
And he picked it up, and we bring it home, and he had it all set up. He tinkers with electronics as well, vintage electronics. So he sort of had to like, do some repairs on it. And eventually we got it going to the point where it was just like one speaker was working. And we're like, come on, Dad, let's just put it on. He's just like, nah, you need to listen to this properly. So he kept working with it. He replaces a few components, and eventually it all starts working. And we all sit down under the glow and the hum of this like old vintage vinyl player, and he puts on Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath for the first time, and we just hear that intro where the guitar riff kicks off like and we're just like, whoa, and we're blown out of our seat. And we sat there for like 6 hours. After he'd pull one vinyl off, he'd put another one in there, and we listened through like 5 or 6 of them just from cover to cover. It's the first time we ever heard them.
Yeah, that's kind of how I came up. I mean, that's why I have like a vinyl collection today, not because it's like hip or anything like that, or when it kind of revitalized, back in the mid 2000s or something like that. I mean, I was just little, parents left me alone, and all I had was anything from the Who to the Stones to Zeppelin to Sabbath. That was I just pulled them out, spread them out over the floor, and was looking at all the the artwork and stuff like that. And I'd put one on, and they just let me go. They're just like, leave us the fuck alone, just do this, and that's what I did. And have a real connection to music and vinyl that way. Growing up like that. So.
Hell yeah. I keep a few. With me, less is more when it comes to collections. I sometimes get a little bit over the top, and I need to limit myself. What I try to do is like a nightclub. Like, I have a capacity. So if I really like an album, I need to choose one that I get rid of it to get that new one. It needs to be better than the last, like my least favorite one. Otherwise, it blows out. So I've got a small collection of vinyls. I think I've got like 20 or something that are just like really meaningful.
What's your favorite?
Oh, look. So I tend to like to only have sort of like stuff from the era on vinyl, and I was very staunch on that. But there is a local band called Witch Skull that released an album. They're like doom metal.
Oh, sweet.
And they released an album called Coven's Will on vinyl. And they're like kind of like metal, like occult style, like witchcrafts themes. And they recorded a music video for one of their songs. I think it's called Breathing Blue Light. And it's on YouTube. They recorded it like this abandoned mine. And it's just eerie, and it's at nighttime, and they got like drone footage, like top down, and made this music video for it. And whenever I hear that vinyl, it just adds a lot more atmosphere to the song, because it's just got that like analog vinyl sound with like these like doom metal and like occult themes, and it's my favorite album that I've got.
So they are you heavy into that genre, or is it just kind of like that band or whatever?
I don't actually normally listen to too much doom metal.
Okay.
I'm more into like tech, death, like that sort of like fast paced stuff.
Right.
But just like with comedy, I've learned that sometimes it's good to slow it down a bit. So when I'm just trying to relax or chill, I've got a setup in my shed, and we don't have basements in Australia, so we just kit out our sheds with what we would put in our basements if we had one. And I've got a 1970s Akai amp there with matching speakers, and I just chuck on some vinyl and relax. And that's that album helps me slow down a little bit from sort of like being so fast paced. So I don't normally listen to that style. I'm more speed, to answer the question. I'm more into faster stuff, but I've learned over the years that it's good to slow it down, and that's one of the few ones that I have that
you put on for that.
Slow it down. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So I have to take the American stance here and ask this question too, because I know it's on everybody's mind that's in America. We're under the impression that where you live, every bug, every snake, every bird, everything is just venomous and wants to kill you. How many times have you run into like a
situation,
bug or then where you're like, I can't go near that because I'm gonna die. Because we think it's every bug there, every snake, everything. So strange question, I know.
It's as common as you think.
Really?
It's like there's some things that you know that they might be venomous, but they have a good demeanor, so they're not angry. There are certain animals. There are certain animals that if they wanted to, they could kill you, but by and large, they're pretty chill. One of our most venomous spiders is the daddy longlegs, but it doesn't attack people because although it's venomous, its fangs are too small, so it's only dangerous to other spiders. But if it could find a way to get us, we'd be fucked. But aside from that, there's a lot of shit. Like there's like snails here that'll fucking kill you.
No, I see. Now I have to go there.
See, when you were explaining that, like the first thing that came to my head was like a kangaroo with a scorpion tail. Like it just automatically popped in my head, and I'm like, wow, that's fucked up.
Yeah,
we all just assume you guys still have fire-breathing dragons. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we just assume that every deadly thing is in there in your country, and
you're probably not wrong. Like the way do you want to hear how the snail gets you? So the secret, slow and steady wins the race with the snail. So what it'll do is it's actually a sea creature, a sea snail, but it has a barb. So some people will pick up the shell thinking that it's a seashell, like, oh, that's a cool spiral shell, put it in their pocket, and the snail thinks it's under attack. It'll put a barb out and stab them in the leg and inject venom.
Assholes. Fucking asshole.
So but yeah, we get spiders and snakes all the time. So Canberra's inland a bit. So we're kind of, we get a lot of, it's a bit warmer area, so we get snakes and stuff like that all the time. We get the king browns quite regularly going through the backyard. They're pretty deadly.
Yeah, we just don't have that many venomous things here that are super, super deadly if they bite. We got like rattlesnakes and stuff, but nothing. A couple of spiders like the black widow or the brown recluse, but other than that, it's not. Yeah, but it's not like,
There's
you don't go out in your backyard and say, I might make it back to the house later.
Maybe right. Oh,
Well,
look, there's one of those deadly ass snails. I'm dead.
yeah. Hey, that's a cool shell. No, it's a barb injecting fucking venom snail. But there are some things that like people haven't really seen. Like if you've seen it, then you're probably dead. You know what I mean? Like you guys know about the drop bears.
The what?
The drop bears.
No. What
Is
is
it
it?
like evil koalas or something like that?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's like, yes.
it is. Yeah. So it's like a koala, but they hang up in the trees, and when people walk underneath, they just jump on them. And yeah, like they tend to go for the throat. So you just have to be mindful of the drop bears.
Zombie koala bears.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
I feel like you're pulling my leg now.
Yeah.
Pulling your leg.
Yeah, I
he's
feel like you're joking with me.
he didn't mean that sexually.
Hey man, I got a bag of dicks here if you want to kick this off.
Hey, pull your own.
Here's one I pulled earlier. So yeah, but it's a thing. If you look up the drop bears, it's something a lot of people will be concerned about when coming to Australia, but it's just not as common as they make out.
Can you Google that and put it up on the screen, Zach?
Yeah.
So we're gonna try to test out some of our
And then you can tell us
technology.
if it's right.
drop bears.
Oh,
No,
here's
it's
the
Did you see that? It literally looked like a zombie koala bear.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, share that screen. Let's pull that up. Can you see this, Marky?
not on my end. No. Oh, hang on, here it is.
Yeah. That second image, like, is fucked up, dude.
That's like a wet koala.
So this is real?
Yeah,
Okay.
the thing is with koalas, a lot of them they're so sexually active that they have chlamydia, so you have to be careful because they all mostly carry it.
Damn.
When you go camping, you can hear koalas having sex. So yeah,
What does that sound like?
vicious.
I feel like Zach wants you to recreate that sound.
Yeah. I'm just curious.
Yeah. Can we look up that audio?
Yeah, koalas mating. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, koala sex audio.
It sounds kind of like a yowie or a bunyip, like kind of like a Bigfoot. You guys have different like myths and things like that as well, right? Like
Yeah, like Sasquatch and stuff like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So we have what they call the yowie or yowie. A similar sort of thing.
Yeah, that just makes me think that Bigfoots are real because every continent has
Something.
you
Yeah,
know,
something
the
that goes
Yeti
bump in
or-
the night, right?
right.
Outside.
I went camping with my brother and my dad once when we were probably about I probably would have been about 10. My brother was 8 or 9. And we had the 2-part tent. So there's a tent on either side and there's a little walkway in between, right? So it's like they're two small tents joined with a walkway. And dad sleeps in his own side and my brother and I are sharing the other side. And my dad snores like a D10 dozer with the exhaust kicked off it. So we're in the other end and we can hear dad snoring. And my brother and I are awake just listening to it. And we then hear another noise that sounds like snoring right next to the tent. And it's getting closer. And dad would snore and then it would make its noise. And it was kind of like competing with dad snoring. It was nearly like they were in this battle. So dad would snore and then you'd hear the thing outside start going, and they would get closer and closer. And eventually we found out that it was a buck possum that thought it was another male that was intruding on his territory and was trying to get into the tent to kill it. So
Oh,
a
shit.
possum is basically the same as a koala bear. And it was outside just trying to get into the tent. So we just stayed there, and eventually it couldn't get in. It pissed off, but it was in the tree outside. And in the morning, because luckily they're nocturnal, we packed up and went home before it woke up. But yeah, Dad was competing for a female, and he didn't even know it.
Good thing you didn't bust in on him. You might have had like a sister or brother or something like that.
Yeah. Finally, a sibling with more hair than me.
And a prehensile tail.
Yep. So have you ever been to the States before?
No, I haven't. I've never been to the States before. I'd love to visit. I definitely see it on the horizon, especially just for comedy stuff, as well as the regular touristy looking around. But yeah, I've got a list of things that I want to check out.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you ever been over here, done a show over here, or anything like that. Do you have any connections, or like do you have an agent, or you just kind of flying solo and making your own way at the moment?
At the moment, just making my own way. The Australian comedy scene is a bit different from the American comedy scene. I tend to find that until you kind of branch out internationally, or you're doing multiple shows, a lot of the work is best done by yourself at this level. I don't have an agent because I can score a lot of the gigs just via like hookups, friends of friends, that sort of stuff. So the benefits that I would get from having an agent at the moment don't outweigh me doing it myself. But yeah, that's how I'm rolling at the moment. But I think that once the options of doing like interstate tours, that sort of stuff, that's when the agent comes in, because I know that for sure I will definitely rock up somewhere and realize that I didn't book a hotel.
Yeah, once you start like touring like over here and you're in Chicago one night or Boston the next night or something like that, like it would get really tough, probably, I would imagine, not having an assistant or something.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'd love to do comedy over there. Actually, there's an Australian comedian that was part of that Doug Stanhope tour last year. That is, he was the Australian tour manager, who's now living at Doug Stanhope's place and doing all of his content management for him. So Doug actually has taken him back with him to help with some of the like digital media and stuff. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be killer if you could get a gig like that to kind of get your feet wet over here and kind of be more discovered, internationally or whatever.
I think a big thing's clips these days. Like I tend to find a lot of people get international reach just from having like content that's like relatable content to an international audience. It's sometimes hard to tap into that, and also it's hard to not sell out with that sort of stuff. Like if I'm focusing on trying to get the perfect bit of crowd work to make the best 30-second clip, then I'm not focusing on like actual strong, repeatable, like solid material.
Right.
So it's a bit of give and take on that.
So do you record everything, even like open mics and all that stuff, to get that content? Yeah.
Sometimes it's not the best like quality. It's not online quality, so I'll just film it. Like most of the time, it's just for a point of reference for me, so I can remember how I did a bit or whatever. Because the way I write is I write premises and then I go on stage and flesh it out in front of a crowd. So it's a different writing style to a lot of people. But I record it because sometimes I'll just nail the wording the first time, and then I need like a record of that so I can just go, oh yeah, this is the order that I did that joke in and it seemed to work. So yeah, I record everything, whether it's just for reference of me. And every now and then I'll get a little bit of like a clip that might be good, but for the most part, I'm just focusing on getting ready for my next special and making sure I've got like a solid hour for that.
That's killer. Yeah, we would love to be able to help you out in your journey, for sure. If we could on social media, anytime like you have something to share, just let me know, and even post it up in our groups and stuff like that. People would love to, check you out and see what you got going on. Hopefully, we could help in some way.
Perfect, man. Yeah, you guys are really awesome. I really do appreciate not just being like a place that I can get beard products from, but being like a community that of people that support each other, which is really cool. It's more than just like a place that I can get products from.
Yeah, for sure. We've always kind of tried to be like that and help out as much as we can, with different friends that have small business like us, and just supporting and giving back. That's what makes the whole fucking dirt ball we're on spin around, right?
That's right. I actually, so I have had a guy on my podcast with a massive beard, and he's also into supernatural and yowies and all that sort of stuff. He wants to research it. Now, when we did a podcast together, and we had people send us questions that people usually ask when you have a beard, like random things that people will say to you. And we didn't end up getting around to it because we were just talking so much about supernatural stuff. We kind of got away from it. But I do still have the questions. What do you think if I chuck a couple of these out into the floor? Have you got time for
let's let our people in chat answer it, and then we can kick them back and forth as well. That'd be cool. That'd be fun.
Yeah. It's not a lot, but it's just something that I prepared for content but never got to use. So I just got to light it up here on the. You'll see how reflective my face is. But I'll just pull them up and I'll read them to you.
You got a drum roll, Zach?
I don't think we have one on.
Yeah, I'm glad that I got to actually come back to these though. All right, so one of them is, can I touch/plait it? Yeah, so that's one of the most common things that I get so some people will like, I'll just throw this out, a little bit of a story. So can I touch or plait it? I will sometimes get people come up to me after a show and they're like, not so much here to talk about my comedy, but just to talk about my beard. And I'll get full grown dudes just walk up and grab my beard like an old light switch, how you had to pull the cord.
Okay.
Them's fighting words.
Yeah, what do you guys think of that?
Yeah, over here that doesn't really work really well. I've never had a guy come up and say, "Hey, I want to touch your beard." Have you, Zach?
No, I've had an old lady come up to me when I was walking down the street one time, though. That's about it.
Yeah, like old ladies or really, really drunk white girls.
Yeah,
once in a while.
That's the demographic for can I smell it, can I touch it?
Yeah, can I grab your beard?
Yeah.
Smell it's a weird one, hey.
Definitely.
Like I've had that before, and smell it is a weird one.
You're fucking right, it is.
Yeah, we have no yeah, it's weird.
It is weird, but
I have learned though it's not okay, no matter how good it is, to that's something I've discovered over the years.
Yeah.
No matter how good it is. All right, that one bombed. See, sometimes these things are just not all. They're not all going to land, people.
Well, I'm sure that we could sit down together and write some fucking gold for those answers, right? Better comebacks.
Yeah. This is more of a comedy workshop. So yeah,
yeah, no laughing here. We're just testing shit out.
One thing I regularly get is how long you've been growing it for. So this is my
is that when you look down and you go, what, like do you do that? if they ask.
How long have I been growing for?
Yeah, and then you just look down and been like, since I've been born, like, ta-da!
Yeah, you think that it's an undercover cop asking about an illegal plantation.
Right.
Yeah, so this is my 10th year since I started growing my beard, and the camera doesn't get it all, but here's some length like that I've got.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get it out of frame and in frame at the same time, so I had to stand up. And I'll tell you what's great. This is another like the only bad thing about having a beard. I've discovered the only bad thing that I found, because everything else you can navigate. You know, sometimes it gets stuck in things, whatever. You can navigate all that sort of thing. The one thing that I found is not a benefit is the amount of cool band shirts that you can't see now. That I want to help my buddies' bands out by buying their merchandise and rocking it, and you can't even see the front of it. So that's
a lot of guys with beards your length or longer will put it up in a knot type of deal, or like Mitch in Florida or something like that. Or Stu, they'll like put it and band it in different sections or braid or something like that. So you can pull it off that way, kinda, I guess. But
that's always why our shirts have graphics on the back, though.
Yeah,
because we've got bitched at so many times when we put graphics just on the front. So,
oh yeah, I'm wearing one of the Mad Viking zip up jackets at the moment, and I like that because it's also got graphics on the sleeves as well, so it's kind of like covered all round. But yeah, I tend to get either like the pocket logo with the back design whenever I buy stuff, but yeah, I lose that all the time, like when I've got cool designs on the front of the shirt. They should have in some displays like what it looks like with a beard on it. Like if I go to a music festival and I'm buying merch, I'll just be like, oh yeah, you got to be mindful. Like the beards had merch where the front was a beard. So when you put the shirt on, yeah, like if people had like a shorter beard, they'd put the shirt on, it would kind of connect the neck to the shirt, and it would just look like they had a giant beard from a distance.
That's great.
Yeah, it's like that saying, looks good from my house. Shout out to the tradies that use that every day. But yeah, I also, that covers off one of the other questions. Does it ever get stuck in things? Well, that answers that. One point I'll make on that is whenever I ride my motorbike, I always plait my beard and braid my hair to get the helmet on. Otherwise, I forgot about the beard. I just did the hair, got the helmet on. I literally get out of my driveway and my beard, right? Anyone driving past would have seen a full face motorbike helmet, but on the front, it would have looked like this.
Yeah.
As soon as I hit that little bit of wind, it just lifted the beard straight over my face like a reverse bride veil.
Right. So Jay was having that problem with his bike. His beard was coming up, and he's like, he got it figured out now. You tell him what you did.
Yeah, I had to put a set of the so on the Harleys you can buy like these little wind deflectors that go on the forks, and they come down to a point. They almost look like fangs. But I was the same way. The updraft was so bad on that bike, it just completely covered my glasses. I couldn't see shit. It would blow my shirt up. So, but those made a big difference because I don't wear a helmet. So, it was just up in my eyes, and I'm surprised that I didn't wreck into something, but I got it fixed. So I understand that completely.
Hell yeah. Well, so what state are you in that you don't need to wear a helmet?
The Pennsylvania, there's a bunch of states, maybe half, 2/3 of the states in the country, you don't have to wear a helmet. And there are certain restrictions, but you don't have to wear a helmet. Yeah, age is one. Length of how long you've been riding is another one that some states have. But like Pennsylvania is if you're over, I think 21, you can do whatever the hell you want. So
right.
Nice. That's awesome, man. I watch Fast and Loud, and I see Richard Rawlings just riding around no helmet, and I'm like, damn, What?
Yeah, it's fucking Texas for you.
It's great.
Yeah. I'm like, damn, that would be crazy. Like, so my old man was born in the 50s, and he said that riding when he was younger was like not a problem without a helmet, but because Australia's got so many long distances between towns, a lot of people wore helmet, like full face, just for the wind resistance.
Mhm.
So that was in Australia it was more common for people to wear helmets just for the conditions. But yeah, I have a friend of mine that changed the battery in his motorbike, and he wears just a helmet to just literally just the top of his head, like a dome. And so he's not used to the helmet blocking his line of sight. So yeah, he said that like any excuse he can get, like change a battery or whatever, he'll go for a ride because he can just sort of like take it all in properly instead of like having the vision blocked by
Right.
other stuff. But I wear a full face just because I prefer I just prefer the protection for me
Right.
and the
Brian
conditions.
Tarbo in chat has a good question. He asked, do you have to watch for joeys or kangaroos over there, like deer, like the whitetails we have over here that just like 1 minute everything's fine and then out of the blue, boom, we got a deer right in front of us or beside us or hitting us. Is that the same for the kangaroos over there?
Yeah, it's really common.
Okay.
Kangaroos are probably the number one thing that people hit. And we also have wombats, which are a small marsupial that's made just like a ball of muscle. It actually has like armored plates in its ass. It's wild. You look it up. They square. They shit square. It's weird.
So they're kind of like U-Haul. They got armor in their ass. They shit square.
Yeah, it's basically.
Yeah. Well,
Judge me?
No, I was celebrating.
So yeah, like to answer the question, kangaroos are the most common. You need to watch out for those. Even on push bikes, sometimes people will be like going along on their bicycles and just get hit by kangaroos that like hit them side on. They travel sometimes in groups, so you got to watch out for that as well.
It's crazy.
But yeah, kangaroos, and as I mentioned before, the wombats, they're just a little ball of muscle, picture like a pit bull, but just with half the length of legs, and they just cruise around, and they make burrows, and they just live in those, and that's why their ass is armor plated, because they go into their burrows nose first, and animals will try and get them, but they can't get past their ass
armor.
What the fuck, man? Australian animals are crazy, dude.
But the reason that they shit square, it's a evolutionary thing. Because if their shit was round, it would roll back into the burrow. So they shit square so that it doesn't fill up their hole with.
They look fucking cool, dude. Like we got to pull it up on the screen right now, right? You can see that.
Yeah, I can see that. I tell you what else is another interesting fact about the marsupials.
Now Shay's gonna want one, Jay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, wombats also have pouches, just like the kangaroos. However, their pouches face downwards because if they were up the other way, they'd fill up with dirt. So they actually do have pouches. They're just reversed.
Reverse pouch.
That's it.
That's insane. You live in an insane place, man.
Yeah, like I said, it's part of intergalactic space travel. All right. Yeah. So we covered off a lot of the questions. I do have two more if you want to burn through the other two. Yeah. Cool. All right. So how often do you trim it or do you keep it growing? So once I hit, I don't know if you guys have heard this term before, but once I hit terminal length, this is basically how long my beard is now. Like it's been this long for about the last 6 years, 5 or 6 years. and it grew to this length within the first few years, more or less. I now just every 3 months I go into my barber and I get a little bit off my hair and about 2 inches off my beard, and that keeps it going good. And he also does a quick little trim on the tips of the mustache as well. But aside from that, it's about every 3 months I get a slight trim, and that's it for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. In here we have one of our friends. He's a master barber. His name's Johnny. Shout out to him, Johnny Livingston. He comes in at least like once a month and trims us all up, makes us, fucking awesome. But yeah, we have a blog coming out, don't we, on terminal growth?
Yeah,
pretty soon?
I just got to finish it.
April? Yeah.
Another day or two. Hopefully, I should be done with that. We'll have it out. But yeah. So, but my terminal length is nowhere near what yours is. So, I don't have those genetics. Probably you need armor for that kangaroo fights you're getting into. So that's why it grows like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's only Australian dudes.
well, the thing is, like a lot of like Australia was mostly colonized by like Scottish, Irish, English, German descent. So the beard game in Australia is quite strong because you got a lot of those like ginger genetics and like hirsute gentlemen. So yeah, we the beard comps here are something else. Sometimes we go out there. I went to a beard comp probably about. I've done multiple beard comps over my time of growing. My first ever beard comp was a themed beard competition for famous Australian outlaw Ned Kelly, and it was basically a Ned Kelly beard competition, and I won the best. It was like the best beard and outfits because I actually went dressed like in like the sort of like out like the era. Like Ned Kelly was from the 1800s, so I sort of went dressed up as Ned Kelly, but I also had like a solid bushranger beard. And bushranger, do you guys know that term?
I'm not familiar.
They're kind of like a bandit, like from the late 1800s. Ned Kelly was one of those. What they would do is they were usually like essentially convicts that had escaped and would just rob stagecoaches to get loot and just live off that money. And he was an Australian bushranger that was shot and killed. Was arrested by cops and by police and and hung at the Melbourne jail in like the late 1800s. And he's like an Australian icon because he stood up to the cops and wore a full suit of armor that he made himself. So even their guns couldn't get him. So he'd just come out blasting like Danny DeVito and in Always Sunny. And he'd be wearing a full like suit of armor that he made himself, and they couldn't take him down. They end up getting him because they shot him in the leg. So anyway, he's kind of a bit of he's our Robin Hood story, I guess.
Right on. Sounds like that. What's that Netflix documentary with the dude in the dozer?
Oh, the Killdozer.
Yeah, Killdozer. That's fucking.
Oh no,
insane,
I said
dude.
the name. Is that going to demonetize?
Yeah, we already fucked that up our last show, so we're cool.
Oh shit. Yeah. So we're good now. We're playing with house money. Yeah. So I went to a Ned Kelly beard competition, and I placed. I won one of the categories, and ever since then I've done one every like year, 18 months. I'll do one. And I went to one in my hometown. It's a small country town in central west of the state, in the central west of the state. So it's like in like the red dirt area. And you good?
Flip the camera.
What happened?
Oh, sorry, bro. Yeah, so I was just.
I was good. No, you're good. You're good. Keep going.
Yes. So I go to the thing, and I was just I go to this competition. It's in the middle of nowhere, and it's the 150-year anniversary of the town being founded. So we go there, and I rock up to the beard competition, and I start. I line up with everybody, and the guy that wins it has a huge beard, like giant, big grey beard, and he comes up to me at the end and he says, "Hey, no hard feelings, man. Like, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm a friend of your dad's, and I had a beard this long back when you were a baby, and I used to hold you and you try and rip it out of my face, and now you're here competing against me." And I'm like, "Really? How long you had your beard for?" And he goes, 50 years.
Wow,
Damn.
that's insane. I couldn't
So
even start growing mine until I was, in my 30s. Anyhow, it just wouldn't grow at all.
well, this guy said that he went to the 100-year anniversary of the town, and he had the beard then.
Jesus.
So he's back.
You
for the
said you beat him
150.
thow, right?
No, he won.
Son of a bitch.
This was a few years ago. And yeah, he had a solid beard though, and that brings me to another thing that I've found over the years. Like, I'm 31, right?
Right.
And I've been competing in beard comps for whatever, like just over just under 10 years, right? The first one I did was 8 months into growing, and I'm nearly hitting 10 years now. My biggest thing that I found is I always am competing against dudes that have had beards for longer than I've been alive, and I'm just consistently getting beaten by guys that are had beards that are older than me. So I reckon that I actually emailed one of the WBMA, and I was like, it might be good to have a category for people that are under 35 or under 30 or whatever, because I would most of the time be competing against dudes that are in their 50s. So it was a bit of hard competition. What do you guys think of that?
Well, yeah, I guess it makes sense though to have because there are some, like Zach here. What are you, Zach?
24.
He's 24 and he looks like that. So I mean,
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, I mean, if you put him in it's an amazing beard, right? But if you put him against someone that's had the same beard growing and been doing that for, like you said, 40, 50 years, legitimately, I mean, there's a real possibility that you're going to get out, quote unquote, bearded probably every time, according to the judges, because now you're a silver fox. And so, I mean, it's actually, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah. I did have backing from Brian Nelson, if you guys have heard that name before.
Yep.
Yeah, I just talked to him this morning via email, going back and forth. We're putting on Worlds in 25 in Pittsburgh, and he's helping us orchestrate, putting that on. So
yeah, nice. Yeah, I've been a fan of his ever since I used to watch Whisker Wars when I first started growing my beard.
Yeah, back 2009.
Yeah,
I think that's when it came out.
Yeah, so I didn't see it until 2013 when I first started growing. But yeah, I watched the reruns, him versus Jack Passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a good thing. But we actually have some Canberra beard comp. Beard Club, the Can Beards. We had some merch we sent out all across to the world. We sold stuff in Germany to some of the guys from those competitions. So that was Hans Hamren had one of our shirts, the mustache guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he sent us a photo of wearing one of our merch items. We're just like, holy shit. So that was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, I've met him before over in Austria in 2015.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and Artie Bielefeld or whatever his name is.
Arnie Bielefeld. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it was cool. We used to watch that religiously. Me and my buddies from the Beard Club, we'd be sort of talking about it. We said that it's our version of Toddlers in Tiaras Beard Edition.
Yeah, I know we got into it. I remember watching it back when it came out. We kind of started we started in late 2012 and the company started in 2013. So we were right on the back heels of that first, show coming out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a good thing. Do you ever find, like, I found sometimes I would sometimes cop a little bit of cheek from other people in the competition, sort of that thought that they had the better beard, like backstage, they'd be kind of like, flexing on me and stuff. Like you get someone come right over and start brushing their beard like right near you. Do you guys ever like have any random shit like that?
No, it's well, I mean that I think that exists everywhere, but it's more in like good jest or whatever, right? It's just like kind of a brotherhood when you're all backstage lining up and just teasing each other and shit like that, I think.
Yeah, there's definitely that as well. So you take the good with the bad. We had a Oktoberfest event probably about 2 years after I started growing my beard, and one of the guys reached out to the club and said, "Would we need a judge for the beard competition? Would you like to send someone from the club to come and represent?" And everyone else was sort of busy. So I was going to go anyway. So I was like, well, I won't compete. I'll jump in the judging instead. And I get there, and we had 2 guest judges, which was the Nelson twins. They're Australian comedians, and they've got beards. And you can look at photos of those guys too. They were on like,
Zach. I guarantee when we Google it, it'll come up with that band from the 80s. It does.
Nice.
Can you see that? Can you see that?
No, it's not shared, but I could
hold up a second. That's our version of your Nelson twins. As soon as you said that, I'm like, fuck, man, we got to Google
that photo there of the 2 fellas in the green and gold, the yellow tracksuits.
Yeah.
That's the Nelson twins.
Oh, okay. That's the Australia version of the 80s band from America. Yeah. They're way cooler, dude.
So their claim to fame is they went to like, I think it was like Australia's Got Talent or whatever as comedians dressed in those Australian tracksuits, right? And they kind of had that appearance and the look, and they kind of just blasted off from there. And they do gigs all around Australia now. And they had them as guest judges for this beard competition. So it was me and the Nelson twins were judging this thing. And the guy sent me an email, said, just let them know at the gate who you are and they'll let you in. So I rock up there and I go to the gate and I say, hey, I'm here for the beard competition. They said to just tell you my name. And the guy goes, yeah, sure, no worries, head on in. Now, there was another dude there at the gate that overheard it and thought that I was competing in the beard competition.
Oh, okay.
So as I'm standing out in the show area waiting to get let backstage, the dude comes up to me and he starts sizing me up. He's like next to me. He's got like a big beard, big like black beard. He's like Greek ethnicity. And because I was chatting to him after. And he starts brushing it like right next to me, and he's looking at mine and brushing it and looking at me and brushing it. And then the stage handler comes out, shakes my hand and takes me backstage. And I'm out the back chatting to the Nelson twins. We're just talking shit. We're having a few drinks. It's Oktoberfest. We're all just getting loose. And I said, hey, there's this guy out there that was trying to staunch me that thought I was competing, didn't realize one was one of the judges. And they're comedians, so am I. I just started doing comedy, so I just said to him, all right, let's actually no, it was before I'd started comedy, so it was even before then. And I said to him, I was telling them the story, and they're like, oh, okay. And then they chatted to themselves, and we go out there. And one of them leans over to me, he goes, isn't that guy there? And I said, yeah. And they walk up and they get out a measuring tape and hold it up to his beard and start talking amongst themselves. And then they holding it to see what the volume is. And they're just like measuring it. And he's fully getting into it. And he's leaning forward, letting him touch it and all that sort of stuff. And then they just turned around to me and said, what do you think, Marky? And I'm like, it's not as girthy as I would have liked. And they all laughed. And then we go to the next one and the next one and the next one. And then we came back to him and we said, no, we're just joking, buddy. You actually had the best beard here. And we gave him the prize.
Yeah.
so then he was hanging out with us after, and it turned out to be a really cool dude. But he was laughing later, and he was saying like, "Oh man, I can't believe that you were one of the judges the whole time." Yeah, so that was fun. I had the Joe Pesci moment. You know, I was driving back from that after such a good night, and I'm just like doing the after the Latonza heist where he's just got the window open. He's like, yeah, like I just had that moment where I was just like, such a great night to like hang out with everybody and have that banter.
So would you be interested? Like I said, we're putting on Worlds in 2025 in Pittsburgh. Could be your first trip to the States. If you'd be interested in being a judge for a few hours on one of those evenings, would you be interested in coming out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So what? Around what time of year?
At the moment, we're looking at July 3rd, 4th, 5th.
Yep.
It'd be our Independence weekend. We still got to sign this venue. We should know any day now whether that's the hard date, but that's the kind of reserve date at the moment until we find out from the venue what's going on. But it'd probably be around that time.
Hell yeah, yeah. I'd love that.
Okay. All right. I will have I'll reach out personally and make the connection. We'll go back and forth and I'll give you all the details and stuff like that. But we'd love to have you over here, man.
Oh, that'd be awesome. It'd be really cool to be part of that.
And then shit, maybe we'll look up, some comedy shows or some open mics in Pittsburgh, and maybe you can get some stage time or something like that. That'd be super rad.
Oh, that'd be awesome, man. I like any of that stuff, man. Also, you guys follow ice hockey as well?
Yeah, we go to a couple Pens games a year. Usually 2 or 3 a year.
Nice. Yeah, I got a buddy that's a massive Pittsburgh fan. I watch ice hockey as well, but I follow like the Australian team, which is the Brave. They have a few crossover members from the NHL. They come here in the off season, but that sounds awesome, man.
Yeah, I'd be glad to have you, man. It'd be pretty cool.
Just don't bring any of them damn spiders with you.
Yeah, just make sure your suitcase is void of snails, kangaroos, snakes, wombats.
Oh, they don't let me take them out. They don't let me take them out. They pull you up at Australia if you walk out with spiders, man. They don't want me to share them with the world. They're like, no, we like to keep our stuff potent. They don't want me to share the recipe.
Right.
Our spiders are like the Wonka factory, man. We can't really fucking let people know what's in them.
Man, I would be fucking really scared to see a drop bear pop out of your suitcase. That'd be frightening, dude.
What would it be dropping from, though?
Just a fucking sprinkler system in the hotel room. Just
yeah. It would be kind of like a gremlin. You know what I mean? Just getting up in you.
I'm probably gonna have nightmares tonight, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, don't. Yeah, I mean they're okay. Just you don't snore too much, and they won't fucking come to get you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd be fucked then. You can ask my wife about that. Like, she'd be like, "You snore too much." So, I would have to worry about drop bears for sure at my house.
Yeah, I'm mostly the problem at my place is spiders, man. We get these. So you call them. What do you not the kangaroo, but you call them white cotton tips or white tips or something?
Oh, whitetails.
Whitetail?
Like just deer. Yeah.
Yeah, so you call them whitetail when it's a deer. We actually have a spider in Australia, which is a really common house spider, but it looks like a harmless one, which is like a garden spider, but it's actually a white tip spider. And those things they'll fuck you up, man, and they're just like super common. You got to be really careful. They have a white tip on the end of their abdomen, and if they bite you, it's kind of like you don't die, but it's kind of like it's kind of like a skin infection, like instantly. So
is it like our what brown recluse that does that, Jay?
Yeah,
like that kind of necrotizes.
yeah, causes necrosis of the skin.
Yeah,
Just kills the skin basically.
but it's like a creeping alteration. So it'll like randomly, it lives in the same layer of the skin that tattoos sit in, and it'll just like move to different areas of your body.
Oh, great! That's what we need.
So yeah, that's the white tip spider. You got to be careful of that one.
All your shit sounds fun, dude. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe we won't go to Australia. Fuck that.
Hey, I'm happy to tell you about it. I'm the guinea pig for you guys. I'll tell you what it's like to. I've been at a party before, and I rocked up. We're sitting around the fire, and the host is like, "Hey, I'll get you a spare chair." And there's some chairs leaning up against the back shed, and he goes over there and he grabs one and he pulls it out and sort of dusts some of the leaves and stuff off it. And I sit in the chair. I chat for a little bit, get up and go inside, and we go into the kitchen. They got like this giant punch bowl there, and I'm just serving myself, and this dude just runs over from across the other side of the room and just slaps my beard. And I was just like, bro, what are you doing? Like, it's good to see you too, man. And I looked down, and there was this huntsman spider. It was about the size of my hand, just on the ground, running under the cupboard.
Dude.
And I was just like, whoa, what the fuck? And he goes, yeah. And then my buddy comes in from outside, and he goes, oh, hey, man, I'm just letting you know, just watch that chair. There was some spiders over there. And I was just like, oh, you don't say, man. So, yeah. But the huntsmans, they are camouflage. So because it was like, my beard's like brown / mostly red, he's just laying flat against what he thought was like a tree or something. But it was actually just my fucking beard.
Damn, dude.
Yeah,
you want to dye your beard now? Not go to Australia.
Yeah, honestly, I'd probably piss myself.
We don't even know what to talk about now because we're so scared.
I do have I have my final thing that people ask me. Like in the chat, in my prepared notes for a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about goatees versus mustaches versus beards? What do you think that, like, do you have a preference, or do you reckon that? I'll tell you my preference is I reckon people should just grow what they can. So in my experience, some people will have like a solid like mustache, but their side beard game isn't that strong. So I reckon everyone should try grow what they can, see what they've got, and then just work with what their strengths are.
Right. That's kind of why we say here, like when customers or friends or whatever reach out and they're like, man, I just can't grow a mustache to save my life. I'm like, rock what you got. So that's kind of like our saying for it is rock what you got. And I guess that rings true with, kind of what you're saying is, if you got a strong stash game, build on that, maybe goatee, maybe just a stash,
Yeah. Mr. Tarbill is right in the comments. Everything's okay except whaler. Fuck whalers. Nobody likes a whaler.
That's the kind of like a running joke amongst everybody in all the beard clubs. When you go to a comp, everybody's like, fuck whalers, nobody likes a whaler. And it's just kind of like a good laugh. Like everybody says it all the time, yeah.
Oh, dude, that's the funniest thing. Like the
skinlit bastards.
Yeah, you just like the worst part is you get a whaler that shaves and they look like Susan Boyle. Just no chin. Yeah, I do appreciate a solid mustache. I had a buddy of mine that won the Sydney beard one of the members of the Sydney Facial Hair Club, and he had a full beard and shaved it off and just left the mustache. And it took some getting used to, but man, that dude had like a solid stash game. And I was just like, I still appreciate that he kept what he could, like he still had what he could have,
Yeah, right. There's some crazy mustache guys that have like no terminal growth on their mustache. Like they're, like a Patrick Fat or something like that, where the stash just comes out like this. Like mine will grow and kind of stops around here. It won't continue to go.
Yeah.
Like it gets terminal there. So like I've seen, especially in our world, like just crazy mustache dudes that just have no terminal length on those.
Oh, mine's so I've woken up in the middle of the night because my mustache was in my eye, it's one of those things that I'm lucky that
Yukon
like
Cornelius.
it's one of those things. Like I'm glad that that it's the right amount of growth. Like sometimes it can go crazy. I've seen mustaches like not come in straight or whatever. So I'm super lucky. My beard actually ends there. Like I when I get my trim, he just kind of like lines it a bit, but it actually naturally stops there, and it stops right in line with my neck. So it naturally just grows where most people have to get it trimmed.
Would trim it, yeah.
Yeah, so my lines sort of like just come in naturally, which is pretty cool.
So Brian in chat said he thought you did not get the Yukon Cornelius joke. Did that land with you? Have you seen the Rudolph?
No, I missed it.
Okay. So there's a old 60s cartoon every holiday season. Zach can pull it up. But when you pulled your stash out like this, it was instant like Yukon Cornelius. If he's about to share the screen, you'll be able to see that in a second.
There he is.
Oh, hell yeah.
So that is you, basically.
No, you got it, man.
Yeah, for real.
Between that and fucking Yosemite Sam.
Yeah, Yosemite Sam was always my favorite.
I feel like if you came to Pittsburgh and judged and you were wearing a red cap and you had a little pickaxe and a blue coat with you, like fucking people go nuts, dude.
I know my judging outfit now. Right. That's awesome, dude. Finally, an outfit that I can have with a beard. I've always had trouble. Like Halloween's not as big here in Australia. It is starting to build over the years. It's just a great time of year that I enjoy dressing up. And I'll tell you my very limited amount of outfits for Halloween. So I went as a garden gnome a few years ago. So just overalls and a pointed hat, and basically just walked around looking surprised all night. And then I did, and last year I did. My wife went as Barbie, and I had a lot of pressure to dress as Ken, but instead I went as bearded Barbie. So I was just all dressed in pink with a Barbie shirt, but just with like a pink bandana and a beard all shimmered up.
Yeah.
No glitter though. Fuck glitter. Fuck glitter and beards.
Do you have? Yeah, that's a nightmare. Do you have pictures from that you could share with us?
Not right now, but I can. Yeah, I don't. Do you know what? This is one of those situations. We went out and we thought, oh, we don't need to get a photo because there's a professional photographer here. And he took a really great photo of it. And he was also the one that took our wedding video. So he's done that thing like, oh, I'll send you the photos when I send you the wedding video. So we're just as much preempting our actual wedding video as we are of me dressed as Barbie.
You might get them.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to finally seeing those photos of me dressed as Barbie, and our wedding video might be an added bonus as well. But yeah, the recent idea that we had, because I like a lot of retro tech. I still watch movies on VHS as a thing. I just like old horror movies on old CRT TVs and fucking VHS. In the shed that I was explaining before, where I've got the amp, I've also got a Sony Betamax player and a Sony TV, and I just watch movies on that on the weekends with my wife, and we just sit down there and watch old horror movies and shit. And
that sounds like a rad vacation.
It's literally the best way to feel like you're on holiday without having to go too far.
Yeah, definitely.
And the best thing is there's pretty much no cell phone reception in the shed, so it's literally like stepping back in time.
So nobody's on their phone while they're watching a movie like our wives?
Yeah, we have to actually just enjoy the cinematography of 1984 Steven Spielberg's E.T.
Perfect.
Which is what we watched last night. We watched E.T. on Betamax last night. We go and hang out there, and we actually watched the previews before a movie the other night, and we're like, oh, we just had a really good idea for our next couple's Halloween outfits. Robin Hood and Little John. So
Nice.
but the Disney version, I'm a bear, she's a fox.
That's actually how I thought of it when you mentioned
good.
it.
Yeah. So that's our next project to work on.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. She's good. She does it's good that she sort of like has these ideas and actually goes through with them with me. Like sometimes, like in the past, I'll think like of something and then it's just like never actually happens. But she's like actually on board with my bullshit. She'll like ride or die with some fucking random idea that was never going to work until the point that we both give up on it together. And until the moment that I give up on it, she's in on it 100%, which is really cool.
So if so you guys like to get into that cosplay world or anything like that, or go to conventions or anything?
We don't do cosplay, but we do like to dress up. Like we go out quite a bit. We both attention whores, so we love going to like events in like matching outfits and shit like that. We actually go to quite a few. We watch burlesque shows, so that's kind of our scene. We like to go to just random like things like that. Like even just going to watch a movie at the cinema, we'll dress up for it or whatever. We'll get people pull us up and we watched Barbie together. Actually, we both were wearing Barbie shirts because we thought that'd be funny. But we we like to dress up and go out. We don't necessarily do cosplay and stuff, but we just like to, we sometimes we'll just get people pull us up and be like, wow, you guys are such an aesthetically pleasing couple. That's a compliment that we actually had once. But yeah, beard compliments as well. It's good to be the girl sometimes where like the attention isn't 100% on people walking up and talking about my beard. It's like people will come up and like compliment her hair as well. She has nice like thick red hair. So it's good to share the attention.
That's awesome. So yeah, we're about ready to wrap it up here. Any famous last words from you before we talk again? Because we would like to have you on again, by the way.
Oh, awesome! I'm glad that I'm allowed to come back, or I'm also glad that there's not someone more famous than me that wants to be on here just yet. So,
we'll probably never get there, but we're just here to have fun, talk shit, man.
That means that if I get to the point where I can't fit into the schedule, you guys have progressed to the point where you can have more famous people on, and I'm happy to let that bird fly.
Because I think it'll happen vice versa. You'll be too famous to come on here. That's going to happen first.
The difference is I remember people like you guys that helped me out. So if I ever do get to that next level, I'll always make time for the people that got to me to where I am.
Same here. Appreciate that, brother.
That'll be my last words. I'm happy to leave it on that. But thanks for having me. This has been awesome. I really do appreciate it. I'm glad that 4 years ago when I hung that Mad Viking banner behind me and put my red LED strip in, I could finally get to the point 4 years later where I could use it for something better than my shitty game streams.
Right. Yeah, I've been watching your shitty game streams for like 4 years now, and just wondering when we can get you on, and it finally came to fruition, and that's the inspiration for our studio lights here is your studio. So
Oh, hey, it's gone full circle.
Yep, it's a circle of life.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me on.
Definitely.
Can we stay for a sec just after the live stream? I just want
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool. Hey, thanks for having me on. Cheers everyone for the stream and the questions. I really do like being on the show, having some questions, and would love to come back.
Oh, we should do something before we jump off. We promised giveaway, so let's do a Wolfpack giveaway. Jay, do you want to pick a random in our audience for the Wolfpack giveaway?
Yeah, I'm scrolling, looking at 2K.
We won't let 2K do it.
Monty.
Yeah, I picked the same guy
Mullins.
like 4 times in a row. So.
Monty Mullins?
Monty Mullins.
All right, Monty. You win a Wolfpack scent of your choice. Just get a hold of us via email. You can email Zach at zakk@madvikingbeard.com. I think he will throw that up in chat. Just email him with your scent preference, and we'll get that shipped out tomorrow, dude.
All right. Very cool, y'all.
Hell yeah, you guys are cool.
Yep.
Hey,
Stay on there, Marky. We'll talk to you here in a minute.
Yep, nice. For reference, I use Berserker.
Me too. It's the best.
All right.